Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I have 5 easy, delicious, and relatively cheap recipes that we ate for dinner within this past week. All of these recipes that I show will be linked below in my description. This first one is this creamy ranch chicken in the Instant Pot. It's pretty versatile. I ate it on top of pasta, but you could also put it on slider buns or eat it like on a sandwich. You're going to need some chicken breast. I used the frozen bag of chicken breast tenderloins because that's what I had. Chicken broth, bacon, a ranch packet, some cream cheese, hot sauce, Italian seasoning, egg noodles, and some shredded cheese. First thing that you'll need to do is cook the bacon. I like cooking bacon on a baking sheet with parchment paper in the oven for 425 for about 20 minutes. It always turns out perfect, and it's really easy to clean it up, and you skip the whole greasy mess all over the stove. I love cooking with my Instant Pot because of how simple, fast, and easy it is to clean up because it's just all in one pot. So we added in the Italian seasoning and then added in the ranch packet. You guys, Hazel is my biggest helper ever. She loves to help me cook, but especially when I use the Instant Pot, and she's really good at it too. I cut up the cream cheese chunks to make it easier for them to melt, and then added in the chicken broth, and then put those chunks of cream cheese in there and just kind of mixed it all together. And then I put the lid on, closed the seal, and I set it to manual on high pressure for 12 minutes since it's frozen. Meanwhile, bacon's in the oven. I was boiling water for the egg noodles and then putting together the cheese mixture with the hot sauce and the other seasonings that's in the ingredient list, and then setting that aside in the fridge until the chicken is done cooking. You see how much of that grease piles up right there? Well, once this dries up, I just throw that parchment paper out and it doesn't seep through onto the baking sheet, and then I just lay it on paper towel and just absorb a lot of that grease. And then I take pieces of the bacon and put them in this food processor. I like to use this because it gets them all nice and crumbled up. Drain my noodles. I added the bacon to that cheese mixture and popped that in the fridge, and then I took the cooked chicken out. I did a natural release for 10 minutes just because it's frozen to make sure it was cooked, and then I took those nasty little pieces out of chicken tenderloins. This is one downside to cooking with them. You just have to sit there and pick them out. It's pretty easy. Once you grab it, the whole thing comes out. I don't know what they are, but they're gross and I will not consume those. And then I shut up the chicken. The hand mixer does a great job at this. And then I add the chicken back into the pot. I put it on the saute setting. I add in the bacon and the cheese mixture, mix it all up good. And then I think I added in a little bit of either cornstarch or flour just to thicken it up because it was a little bit too watery. But once I boiled it, it was the perfect consistency. I added that chicken on top of the egg noodles and then added the broccoli, and it was delicious and very filling. I've definitely shared this soup recipe a bunch of times on my channel, but it's just one of my favorite staple soups. It's the Copycat Olive Garden zuppa soup. You'll need Italian ground mild sausage. I used 3 big potatoes, an onion, half and half chicken broth. You're supposed to use kale, but they were all out of kale, so I just used some spinach and then some oregano. And then I chop up my onion and my garlic. I forgot to mention this, but you need garlic. I think I used like 2 cloves of garlic, added some olive oil and the sausage to the pot, put that on the saute mode and just browned the sausage. Once that was brown, I added in the onion, garlic, some salt and pepper, and then just cooked that for a couple minutes. And then I needed to rinse the potatoes because you leave the skin on. You don't have to, but it's just how it is at Olive Garden. That's how I like it in the soup. So I just cut those up and then added those to the pot, added the chicken broth in, put it on manual, set the pressure to high, and cook it for 5 minutes. I love how fast this takes. I was measuring out my half and half, and this is a little hack if you don't want your half and half to go bad, because half of the time you just buy it for one recipe. Put it in these cupcake molds, freeze them, and then put them in a Ziploc bag and stick them in the freezer. I added in the half and half and then the spinach, just mixed it all together, and it was all done. This is so quick. It legit takes under 10 minutes to make this, and it's so good. It tastes just like the Olive Garden, if not better. I didn't realize how many recipes I did in the Instant Pot. I just love it so much. But this one is buffalo chicken sliders. You'll need some chicken breast, coleslaw, hot sauce, a ranch pack, ranch seasoning, and these Hawaiian sweet rolls or whatever rolls you'd like. Put your pot on saute mode, put the chicken in. I seasoned it with salt, pepper, some adobo, just because I like to add that to all of my meat pretty much, and then I just cooked it for like 2 to 3 minutes on each side. That's what it said to do, and then it said to take it out, which wasn't necessary. You totally could have left it in the pot and put the ranch seasoning on it. I cooked it on manual high pressure for 5 minutes and also did a natural like 10-minute release. I cook some of these instant potatoes on the side. Sometimes I make instant potatoes, sometimes I make homemade potatoes, just depends on the day. I mixed together the coleslaw and the ranch for the topping, and then I melted some butter and added hot sauce into that butter. I honestly put too much hot sauce, so depending on your preferences, just be careful with how much hot sauce you add. Chicken was cooked perfectly after that, and then I shredded it up. For some reason, this chicken did not want to shred as easily as it normally does, so I was making a big mess in the sink, and then I added in some butter and the hot sauce mixture and mixed it all up. Put it on the slider buns. Actually, I toasted the slider buns in the air fryer first, so they were a little bit toasty, and then I added the chicken and the coleslaw on top, and they turned out pretty good. Like I said though, just be careful with the amount of hot sauce that you put in it. I didn't end up eating the potatoes either because I just wasn't in the mood for potatoes all of a sudden. This next one is another slider recipe. It's the White Castle mini burgers. You know, if you've ever had those, they sell them in the frozen section. They're so good. So I wanted to try and make these homemade. I set the oven to 350, and then I also made some of these seasoned fries on the side, and I just put those in the air fryer. Obviously, you're gonna need ground beef for this, an onion soup pack, and milk. I know it sounds so odd. It ended up turning out really good. It said to use a rolling pin to make the meat flat, but that didn't work, so I just used my good old hands. Put it in the oven and cook it for about 10 minutes, and then you take it out and put those diced up onions. I dice them up in the food processor because it gets them really nice and diced just how you want it. I put them on the edges around the meat, it said to do, and then cook it for another 15 minutes, and then kind of just like mix those onions all around. Add your cheese slices. I just used American cheese slices, and then put it back into the oven and cook it for another 10 minutes. There's a lot of in and out with the oven. And then I sliced all the rolls in half, put the top part onto the meat, put it back into the oven just for a couple minutes until the rolls on top were brown, and then I put the bottom part of the rolls on a different sheet and just slid it off right onto there. Cut them all so that they were all individual little patties, and these ended up tasting pretty darn good. And the kids even loved them. I got another Instant Pot recipe. This one is beef stroganoff in the Instant Pot. I wanted to get rid of a lot of the freezer meat we had, so you need some ground beef, wide egg noodles, onions, garlic, beef broth, cream of mushroom, and flour for this. I do have a homemade, like no canned stuff, none of that, beef stroganoff recipe that I make on the stove, but I wanted to try this Instant Pot one out that was a little bit easier. So you just add your ground beef to the pot on the saute mode, brown it. I cut up my onion and my garlic, and then I added that to the pot, added the beef broth in there, and then that cream of mushroom, and also the egg noodles. I did half of that bag because it called for 8 ounces of egg noodles. Seal the pot up, make sure that it is sealed, and then I set it on manual high pressure for only 3 minutes. And I think this one was a natural release. It should say in the recipes. But once that was done, I added in the sour cream, mixed it all together, and this is how it turned out. It definitely wasn't as good as my homemade beef stroganoff, but it was good. That is it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know if you try any of these recipes out. Make sure to subscribe, and I will see you guys in my next one. Bye.